Good morning, Riverside.
Good morning, Riverside.
Good morning, Riverside.
Good morning, Riverside.
Mr. Dailey.
This is Sergeant First Class Thomas S. Dailey, and a member of the Chosin Reservoir. I think that's why I'm here. But you know what? I can go back further.
That's what we want.
I can go all the way back to Ireland, where my father came from. My father came from Ireland. He was a young fella. He come to the United States, to Ellis Island, and he met my mother there, and she was from France. They hit it off. They got married. They lived in New York, and no children. But he could not find work there. So the unemployment office over there told him, you know, we have a job in Blueville, Connecticut, maintenance, right up your alley, and it includes a house that goes with the job. Wow. Oh. So we had no children at that time. And we lived in this house with no hot water, no electricity, only a heater in the burn wood to warm the house. So that's where we lived when I first got started. So as things went on, they were doing pretty. But my father was a World War I veteran, and he'd been gassed in World War I. And my little brother, the first one in the family, my little brother, Richard, he was 2 years old. A girl put him on a sewer cover, and he got spinal meningitis, which killed him. You know, so I lost my little brother. But then I had two more brothers and a sister. And when my father died, my mother died first, then Richard, and then my father died. And now we were stuck. What are we going to do?
How old were you?
How old I was? Well, maybe 5 or 6 or 7 now. Well, anyways, no one's going to take us there. It's during the Depression. So finally they decided to put us in an orphanage. So we went to an orphanage in Connecticut, all 5 of us. We went in that orphanage. And that orphanage was like Dachau. You got out of bed, you got a beating. You peed the bed, you got a beating. You know? So we stayed there. But I never figured it out. We went out 5 times with our little suitcase. We went to some homes. And I don't know. And I never got to thank my brother. You know? It's too late now. He's gone. What was I going to tell you? Oh, yeah, we went out 5 times, and he would do something so the orphanage would come back and bring us back to the orphanage. 5 times this happened. But I never figured out why he did it. But years later, when it was too late, I finally figured it out. The 2 of us were going this way, and my other brother and my sister went this way. They were trying to split us up, because during the Depression, who's going to take 4 kids? Yeah. Nobody. So he was smart enough that wherever we went, he did something. I can remember a few things he did. You know, like put a train on his feet in a hardwood floor was one. Another, they had an orchestra, their sons, and he cut all the strings on the guitars and stuff, and punched a hole in the drums, and so that would send us back to the orphanage. But it wasn't until years later I said, you know what? I'm sorry, Dave. It's too late. You know, I wanted to thank him because it's because of him that the 4 of us, or the 5 of us, all know each other. All right. So, anyways, So about 6 years old, we were still in the orphanage. But the older you get in an orphanage, they don't want you. Okay, you can't come back. They don't want you. You get 8, 10 years old, you're not
Marketable.
right, marketable.
Yeah.
So anyways,
What is unbelievable.
so finally, there was a couple in Pawtucket that wanted to take all four of us. But what was wrong, they were 65 and 68 years old. They were too old to take on all these kids and a depression. So that's why they were trying to split us up,
Oh, yeah. I
So-
get it. I know.
So anyways, they changed their attitude about those people, and they said, yes, you can have them all right? So we packed our bags, and we went to Pawtucket to live, all right? All of us, so we're all together. So we lived there until we were about, I don't know, about 12 years old, and the lady that took us and her husband, she was doing the laundry on Monday, and they had cement stairs and a wall at the bottom, and she went to pull on the door, and the doorknob came off, and she fell down the whole stairs and struck her head on the garden, the concrete, which killed her.
Oh.
But we still stayed together. But about a year later, the husband, Watchia Laundry, was a relative of his, and he was a maintenance man. On Saturday, he would go do work there. Well, one Saturday, he was pulling on the wrench, and he had a massive heart attack, and he died. Well, now, we're still in this house. But the people who owned his brothers and stuff had no feelings for us. They wanted to sell the house, so they threw us out. Out. So my sister and my little brother went to Cranston to live with some people, and my brother went right on McGill Street. He went with them, and he said, "Tom, I don't know what you're going to do, but you can't go with us. You're going to have to go alone." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I said, "What are we going to do now?" So there was a four-door Buick sitting in an empty lot with all the windows, because they were cracked windows, and so I had two moving blankets, a pillow, a comb, a toothbrush, and the clothes on, so it was on my back. So that's where I was living. So Thanksgiving rolled around, and the little boy that I played with, his name was Ronald, but his nickname was Bugsy. So Bugsy was having a Thanksgiving dinner at the house, and they each had to say what they were thankful for. Well, when it came to Ronald's turn, he said to his mother and father and his family, he said, "You know that little boy Tommy that I played with, Ma?" He said, "You know what? He's not going to have a Thanksgiving at all." His mother said, "Why?" She said, "Ma, he lives in a car on Newell Avenue, and it's still an empty lot." And she said, "What?" She said, "Yes, he has no mother, no father, and that's where he lives." They said, time out on the dinner. They had a new Pontiac. They got in the car. They come down the Newell Avenue in Pawtucket and knocked on the car for me. I said, "Tommy, you in there?" I said, "Yeah." I put the window down. I said, "Yeah." She said, "Is this where you live?" I said, Yes, Mr. Tebow, this is where I live." "Well, you don't live here anymore, So they opened the trunk of the Pontiac, took my two blankets and all my woolly possessions, and threw them in the car. Took me home. Of course, I had little whiskeys and stuff, and dirty clothes.
Now, how old again were you?
13.
13 years old.
I'm 13 years old, so.
The details.
Yeah.
The cracked windows, the
So-
ripped seats.
So when I was living in the car, I said, "You know what? You got to place out of the rain and sleep in the car. But winter's going to be coming and this and that, and you won't be able to do this, And how are you going to eat?" Well, World War II just ended, and this guy came home from the war, and they were Greeks, and the mother and father and whatever his name was, Pete. Well, Pete and his brother was in the service. You know? So I said, do you need a dishwasher? He says, yeah. I said, well, I'll just eat the food. I'll work for food as a dishwasher for you. He said, no. He said, we'll pay you $1.50 a week, and you have 3 meals. I said, okay, that's fine. So that's what I was eating. So I knew the truant officer came in every day at 10 o'clock for his coffee and I'm saying, oh. So I told Pete, I said, I don't want to be disrespectful to you people, but around 10 o'clock, I know the truant officer comes in here for his pickup, and if he sees me here, he's going to grab me, and I'm going to maybe wind up back in that orphanage. But what I didn't know at 13 years old, that they're going to take you at the orphanage at all. You know? So, okay. So I was doing the dishes and pots and pans, and $1.50 for the whole week. So one day, Bugsy, which was Ronald, came in and he says, you know what? How would you like a job at Howard Johnson's with a Hobart dishwasher and more money? $1.97 an hour. Wow. So I took the job at Howard Johnson's. So I was washing dishes there, and I was getting where I was going to quit. And the manager was Mr. Babin. So one Sunday night, there was 2 guys and a girl in a corner booth, and we closed at midnight. So Mr. Babin said to me, my nickname then was Tappy. He says, Tappy, go check the ladies' room and the men's room. Make sure the windows are locked. So I went in there. Sure enough, it was 5 minutes to 12. I went back to see Mr. Babin. As Mr. Babin, both windows are locked. Well, the girl that was sitting in the corner with the 2 guys, she got up and went to the ladies' room. Then they left the restaurant. Mr. Babin went to the ladies' room where she was to check the window. Guess what? The window was unlocked. So he got a hold of me and he says, Tappy, are you sure that the window was locked? Yes, Mr. Babin. The men's room and the ladies' room was locked. So when they left the restaurant till 3, he went in the ladies' room because that's where she went. Sure enough, the windows unlocked. On the strength of that, he called the Providence police. And it was Walter Stone. He was a captain of the Providence Police Department.
Okay. That's what I mean. You haven't missed a name or a stitch in
So the restaurant was closed on Mondays for extra money and time and a half. I used to wash all the floors in the restaurant for extra money. So, but he said, you can't stay here tonight. He didn't say why. Well, okay. Across the street from Howard Johnson was a diner. And I used to love a milk and a custard pie. And about 12:15, those 5 kids came in through the ladies' room, came into the restaurant. And the 17-year-old was the oldest and the 13 was the youngest. And his mother told him not to go around with those boys because you're going to get in trouble. Well, he didn't listen to his mother. The boy that was 17, he had a .38 revolver, pearl handled. The place was loaded with cops. You never see so many cops, and they got in there where nobody seen them. They parked their cars away and they worked and they came in the back. And they were well armed. So they were all in the restaurant. And here's the layout of the restaurant. Over here, there's 2 doors that goes to the kitchen, okay? And then around here was the bar, over here. Well,